Give the gift of Rev Voice this Christmas. Rejoice with Rev Voice when you sign up and enter to win 12 days of giveaways, including a 2015 Jeep Wrangler from Bahamas Bus and Truck.
The Haitian ambassador to the OAS suggests there is xenophobia in paradise. This as Fred Mitchell defends this country's immigration policy in Washington, D.C. The mother of the country's latest murder victim believes her family has been targeted, plus an American man rescued on a remote island in the Bahamas. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Juanitude and NB12 starts now. Topping news tonight, Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell addressed the Organization of American States in Washington, D.C., where he defended the Bahamas against what he called outrageous allegations, including the assertion that there is institutional terrorism in the Bahamas. However, the Haitian ambassador to the OAS suggested today there is xenophobia in paradise. Kyle Joaquin reports.
It started out as a special meeting in the Permanent Council of the OAS where Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell attempted to clarify the government's new immigration policy. However, things got a bit more interesting when Haiti's ambassador to the OAS raised concerns over what he called xenophobia in paradise.
I appear here today to deal with a serious matter: the reputation of the Bahamas. Nothing is more important to us than that in the international arena.
Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell in a special meeting of the Permanent Council of the Organization of American States defending the government's new immigration policy, which has garnered a lot of negative attention locally and internationally. And today, at the request of the Foreign Affairs Minister, he got to explain why the policy was created and what it means. At one point, the minister found himself refuting claims made by Queen's Counsel Fred Smith, who in a series of press releases characterized the new policy as institutional terrorism.
Let me say clearly, there is no institutional terrorism in the Bahamas, no ethnic cleansing, and no Auschwitz in the Bahamas. No group is being targeted for elimination in the Bahamas. No mass murder is occurring in the Bahamas, and certainly none which is sponsored or sanctioned by the state. There is no evidence anywhere that this is the case, and we refute it absolutely.
Mitchell then extended an invitation to the Human Rights Commission to visit the Bahamas and conduct an inspection of its own to see that there is no mistreatment of illegals while in detention. The Foreign Affairs Minister said the new procedures are simply meant to solve the problem of people living in, quote, no man's land. In his address, Mitchell also once again addressed these comments.
To make sure every industry, to make sure to boycott Bahamas, boycott Bahamas, to stop this discrimination against Haitian children.
What has not helped is the irresponsible statements of a Florida legislator who has spread much of the information about this on the basis, misinformation about this, on the basis that she is concerned about the children of migrants. The rule, Mr. Chair, is that when an illegal migrant is repatriated to their home country, the children must go with their parents. This is the accepted practice and norm around the world, and we do not deviate from that standard.
Mitchell stressed that children are not housed in the detention center and are kept in a proper living facility provided by the Department of Social Services. However, speaking through a translator, Haiti's ambassador to the OAS, Bachet Edmond, raised concerns over a number of issues. On that list, discrimination and the treatment of the Haitian community on the part of Bahamians. He said even those who have contributed to the Bahamas receive verbal abuse because of where they came from.
And yet too many of them are victims of verbal abuse, of denigrating, and I should go so far as to say, frankly, rankly discriminating behavior, simply by dint of the fact that they are Haitian.
The ambassador urged the Bahamas government to launch an anti-discrimination campaign because he said there is a sense of xenophobia in the Bahamas. The ambassador said when he reads stories and watches videos, they aren't conducive of coexistence between Haitians and Bahamians. Edmund even went as far as to refute claims that some Haitian migrants create floating devices to make their way from Haiti to the Bahamas.
The point is made that there are some rickety ships being, but boats has to be said, vessels, floating devices that have been cobbled together and that people are using to launch themselves perilously on the journey, so the article says. But we have looked into the matter, as you rightly pointed out, and have been unable to, in fact, confirm that fact. Now, people can obviously say and think whatever they want, but that doesn't make it true.
The permanent representative also spoke to the deportation of children who were born in the Bahamas but to illegal immigrants. He said the children should be given some sort of documentation to prove that they were born in the Bahamas. Well, Mitchell addressed that concern and explained that the children deported were those who recently arrived illegally with their parents and not those who were born in the Bahamas. The Foreign Affairs Minister also spoke to the ambassador's claim of discrimination.
But I think every Bahamian understands the nature of prejudice and bigotry and discrimination. And certainly the government does not sanction any of those things. And I want to separate myself from any effort which is suggesting that one ought to discriminate against any national group. This is a generic policy, not expressed in terms of any national group.
Mitchell says the aim of the policy is not to see that migration stops, but that those who enter the Bahamas do so through the front door. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Immigration Director William Pratt also defended the new policy today, telling NB12 he disagrees with the Haitian ambassador to the OAS. Dana Smith reports.
The immigration director said this whole thing has been blown out of proportion. William Pratt said the new immigration policy is not discriminatory. It actually levels the playing field by making it easier for those born in the Bahamas to foreign parents to apply for citizenship.
What?
New policy.
What is setting about? What is it? Why? To level the playing field? To level the playing field? Is that what they're saying? Is setting about reputation? This policy really helps those persons to be able to work, travel, open bank account, and live here until a decision is made on their citizenship. So to me, it makes the process easier for them. Right now, they have nothing. They cannot even open a bank account. They cannot even go to school proper at COB without some document from immigration. So this would help them to gain better access to educational facilities, better access to banking and working. So if this is setting a bad policy, I totally disagree.
Asked about the charge of xenophobia brought up by the Haitian ambassador Botched Edmond at the OAS meeting, Pratt dismissed the claim, explaining the Bahamas is multinational.
Most definitely not. We do not. As a matter of fact, based on our immigration records, we have just about every nationality in the world living here in the Bahamas.
The Haitian OAS ambassador also said he had concerns about the holding and the arrest of Haitian nationals, especially children. Addressing that, Pratt said children are never arrested.
Children are not arrested. If illegal parents are taken into custody, the minor children would accompany their parents, but we do not arrest children.
Edmond also called for children born in the Bahamas to Haitian parents to be given official documentation that states their birthplace. On this point, Pratt explained the government cannot grant to children born in the Bahamas to Haitian parents what is not granted to children born in the Bahamas to parents of other nationalities. And he pointed to the Bahamas Constitution, which does not confer citizenship to such children at birth. Rather, they have to apply. But Pratt said with this new policy, it will be easier for those children to apply for citizenship because the department will already have their record.
When they reach the age of 18, it facilitates a quicker response to their citizenship application because we would have kept a record on them for the years they grew up here in the Bahamas and before coming to age 18. And so this would greatly assist in obtaining the citizenship quicker because we would have already have files for those persons.
Pratt also responded to concerns about conditions at the Carmichael Road Detention Center, something Edmond also referenced. And recently, attorney Fred Smith compared the detention center to a Nazi concentration camp. Pratt said the detention center is clearly not a hotel, but it's not a prison either.
The detention center is a temporary holding facility. Of course, it is not a hotel, but it's a temporary holding facility, and we offer the amenities, 3 meals a day. They have freedom. They can go play in the yard, and it's not a prison.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
In other news, the mother of 2 teenagers shot on Saturday following their brother's funeral says she believes her family is being targeted. She also revealed that 2 of her sons witnessed their father's murder 4 years ago. Jasmine Brown has the story.
Days after one of her sons was gunned down and another was left critically injured, the mother of 2 of the country's most recent murder victims say the family is living in fear as they try to cope with their tragic loss.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and this has to stop. It has to stop.
Chantel Dorsett is a mother fed up with the violence that continues to tear her family apart. Dorsett's 18-year-old son, Jaquan Anthony Roll, was killed, and his 14-year-old brother was critically injured after assailants shot up the vehicle they were in as they left their brother's funeral on Saturday afternoon. Her eldest son, 21-year-old Jermaine Roll, was shot and killed in front of a home at Nichols Court in Yellow Elder Gardens around midday on November 28th. We spoke with Dorsett as she was visiting her youngest son at Princess Margaret Hospital this morning. The distraught mother says she has yet to tell her surviving son about his brother's tragic death over the weekend.
I have to come up to this hospital, visit my son every morning. And every morning he's asking for his brother, and I cannot tell him his brother has passed away. I cannot tell him that because he may be the next one.
Dorsett says her sons were not perfect and their lives changed when they witnessed their dad's murder. Jermaine Roll Sr. was murdered in 2010.
When he was 13, his father was killed in front of him. His life was downhill from then. And for this to happen, it's sad. It's very sad. No one are saints. No one is exempt, but they my children.
Dorsett said it is an extremely difficult time as she and her family try to move on, not knowing if they are the next to be gunned down.
I'm the mother of 2 murdered victims that I should have to be looking over my shoulders, and these people are just running freely. I can't eat, I can't sleep. I haven't slept from November 28th when my son Jermaine was taken away. Now come December 13th, how am I supposed to deal with this? I can't.
But she says her faith in God and help from loved ones and families of all murder victims has seen her through.
2 weeks ago, her other son was murdered, and God had us that I was understanding at that time. And I was able to comfort her, give her the word of God, and know that God don't make mistakes, and even though that we tend to wonder why, when, and how, God is a God, and He said He knows from the beginning of our mother's womb. I had to encourage her that all is not lost, even though she would have lost 2 sons.
Meantime, Dorsett says she wants police to monitor her youngest son to prevent any further attack. When contacted, Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean said police were in talks with the family members and any concern they have or anything that may arise, police will address it, including threats. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.
The U.S. Coast Guard has rescued a man who drifted at sea for 5 days and ended up stranded on Keesau Bank, according to the Associated Press. Coast Guard video shows him emerging from a small tent and waving frantically to get the crew's attention. The 39-year-old man reportedly set out from Marathon in the Florida Keys in a small raft or dinghy when he accidentally drifted out to sea. The Coast Guard found the man identified as Illinois native Larry Sutterfield while patrolling the area on Monday. The Coast Guard says no major medical concerns were reported upon his return to the U.S.